everybody. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Did you take enough?
Yeah.
Cool.
Then I took one as you were walking away. No, you're going to tell me what we're looking at.
Yes. I shall. Thank you. I own.
Supposed to be done.
I don't know if I'm ready to go. Because I've lost my person. I need to know if it's good to go. Yeah, I'm all good. Okay, you're all good. Yeah, I'm all good on that.
I just saw it. That's true.
Are we good to go?
Oh, you did? Oh, that's
Okay, hi everybody. For those coming in, please find a seat. There's a few more seats. Thank you. Thanks, Levan. Great. Hello, good afternoon. How are we? Good. I mean, this is bizarre. I'm in person with people in 3D in front of me, and I can see more than just your face. Great to be here today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Angela Hands. I am New Zealand born, however, haven't lived there for 20 odd years now. Lived in England for 7 years, now reside in Sydney, Australia, the last 11 years. So if you're confused by my accent, you're allowed to be. It's very mixed. I'm going to make sure I try and keep my pace down, slow down. New Zealanders, when we get excited, we make we make a sentence, one word. So I'm going to make sure I try and do that for you today. I'm an alumni. I'm from the eXponents cohort. Who is from eXponents here? Woohoo! Good to see you guys. And I'm also have the privilege of being a course facilitator for Building Power to Lead, for those who are here. Who's just done that? Who's completed Building Power to Lead course? Woof, okay, a good amount of us. For those who don't know, I've got Ali Wilkinson right here next to me as well. She's going to be my beautiful assistant today, and she's going to also help. This session's really interactive, so be prepared. This is not about me telling you what your purpose is. This is about you all finding out your own purpose. So if you've got pens, please have them out ready to go, and we will get started. The pen, I'll just check that that's okay. I'm also live streaming, so welcome whoever's joining us virtually. There is a handout that's going to be used in this session. You can access a digital copy of that handout by going to the agenda. It'll take you to a Google Drive. Please have that ready. We'd love you to participate if you're doing this from your home or office or wherever you are. Great, thanks, Lan. Perfect. Right, quick explanation. So my full-time job is I'm Chief Executive Officer for a company called Development Beyond Learning. We actually provide human skills or soft skill development for the future of work. So we work globally around the world, working with organizations like the ones that you're all at, and we help with either culture transformation projects or specific cohorts and supporting them to transition from where they are now to where they need to be. In the last 6 months, we've reached close to 7,000 participants in the programs that we deliver, mainly virtual at the moment. We haven't quite gone in person yet in a lot of the countries that we deliver to. And you'll see that we start with our audience being right from students, moving into transitioning to graduate intern roles, going into their first careers, then into new managers, and we also do leadership work coming in on that as well. So I've got the privilege to actually talk you through one of our new content pieces on purpose and building purpose through Ikigai. So we'll be focusing on that, and then we're looking at the concept of Ikigai, and then we're going to start to identify opportunities about how you can start to connect your purpose to your professional world, which is a big thing. It comes up a lot. There's a lot of courses that we have in our lead program, fantastic lead program, that speaks to this. And what I like us to do is start a journey together of you building your own purpose. You're not going to build your purpose 100%. That's not how this works, but you'll definitely have the foundation and the tools to then be able to continue on your journey and be able to continue to build your purpose or your Ikigai. Right, first things first. What does purpose mean to you? I'm going to give you a minute. I'd like you to self-reflect. What does purpose mean to you? If you've got a notebook, write that down, what the purpose means to you. If you've got a mobile phone, laptop, type it in there. 1 minute. What does purpose mean to you? Let's give you about 20 seconds. Okay, I'd love to hear some examples. What are people thinking? What are they, when they think about purpose, what does that mean to them? Yes.
To me, it's something that goes beyond your basic day-to-day needs, right? Your food, shelter, and security. Something that drives you towards bigger things, more impactful towards surrounding your economy, your culture, your people, the world as overall. Not something that just for you, I would say, for me.
Okay, great. So beyond day to day, going a much more bigger, greater, that connects to you.
Yeah.
Great. Yes.
Yeah, for me, it's a goal that is meaningful to you and that is achievable, that you can achieve through planned actions.
Okay. Something that's meaningful to you and achieve it through planned actions. Like it. Yes.
I said an intrinsic sense of goal and intent that's abstract enough to never be completely fulfilled, and it gives focus and energy and motivates your actions.
Love it. Focus and energy and get you on your actions. I like that. That's really great.
Mine is a little bit more generic, but it's
Just a little
being,
louder.
oh, mine is a little bit more generic, but I said I wrote being of value to a cause and people around me.
Love it. Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, I wrote sense of self-reflection, direction, belonging, and feeling of satisfaction.
Like it. Direction and a sense of belonging. Really cool. I'm going to take a couple more, you, and then we're done.
Yeah, I wrote like a North Star, a reason for you to get up and do what you want to do. A rock to rally around your life.
Right. Fantastic. And
Hello everyone, my name is Vishwanath. My purpose is, it means clarity of why I'm doing something.
the why you're doing something. Great. Okay. So as we're hearing, there's different ways that we're connecting to purpose. There's different ways that that means. Were you okay?
You're good.
Yeah.
Chat, just see if we can get to that.
Cool. Are we able to drop it out?
Oh, sorry. I don't know, swing it, sorry.
That's all right, Levan. My fabulous helper. Thank you so much. All right, so a lot of different perspectives coming through on that. Now, if we actually look at a generalized view, when we look at the research behind what purpose stands for, it is around how you're building purposefulness in your life. And through that is what are your motivators and what are your values that are helping to drive your purpose coming into that. So it's an overarching sense of what matters in our lives. That's what purpose stands for. Now, your purpose can change. It can evolve. It doesn't stay the same all the time. It can move and iterate and change. And that can play out a lot in your life circumstances, maybe the career you're pursuing, maybe life alterations that might be going on, significant impacts in your life, whether it be personal impacts from having children to getting married to maybe getting divorced to dealing with loss of a very loved one. Purpose can evolve and change. So very important that we think about this, and it's a muscle that you just continue to keep using and working on a day-to-day basis. So when we look at the value of purpose and we look at the science behind why purpose is important, now very much it connects to our innate well-being, like how we feel. For someone to have purpose, it's known scientifically that we'll have more resilience and that we'll be able to actually manage uncertainty a little bit better. So really great connection point, particularly as we've been navigating this world that we have in the last 2 years. And as we continue to navigate this world we're coming out of, we now no longer have a pandemic. We've now got a lot of other big significant things going on in the world right now. And people are really struggling to connect with what does that mean for them? What does that purpose mean for them? The science behind this, when you look at purpose and when you look at how that connects to you personally, it can scientifically help your health tremendously. Your ability to remember, the way that you have cognitive balance, meaning that you can manage your emotions coming through, your sleep, your ability to be able to function and have strong relationships. And there's also science to say that to have purpose can help your immunity, can help you generally physically in your health. Romance. Now, science says to have strong purpose, you have an increased sense of love. Your relationships are more fulfilling. You actually have more love with each other, and you can start to demonstrate that through ways that you do that with your partner or whoever that is there coming in. So the love is really important, like it kind of plays into that. And then of course, career. So when you have purpose in your career, that helps you to be more productive, helps you to be more engaged. You'll find that you have a greater desire of how you're performing in your career. And as leaders, what you will actually find as well is that you will be performing a lot higher than other people. You then might find more opportunities come your way when you have more purpose coming through. And you might also find that you become a person who starts to lead other people in teams because they see that you've got a pathway to go to and a drive to go to. People want to follow that. So really, really useful information. When we look at the insights from neuroscience, and it's really important, when we look at human skills and we look at soft skills, there's so much research, so much studies that come out of that. There are some overarching principles when we look at the sciences to why purpose actually helps us here. First of all, we can help have a calmer and more mindful disposition, particularly when we are in conflicting situations. So it actually helps us to have a calmer and mindful disposition. We have increased motivation and engagement, and that's proven even when you don't get feedback or you don't get a response coming through on that. So your ability to be resilient, your ability to keep moving forward, that naturally happens when you have purpose coming through. Improved metabolism, interesting. Helps you kind of move, helps you keeps alert, keep fresh, keep focused, keep energized. You know those people that you look at and you go, wow, how are you doing this? You're getting up at 5 a.m, you're doing all these things, I see you're on these projects, I see you're doing this. Like, answer is, they're probably very, very clear on their purpose. Longevity of memory and cognitive function. This is all about the brain. So this is the ability to actually help you have more memory and cognitive functions as you're moving forward. Higher execution functioning, like that comes back to your performance, your ability to go and achieve goals, desired results a lot more effectively and a lot more efficiently. And then embracing new opportunities, and embracing new opportunities when potentially you don't necessarily see that, it's not clear. So that's where you start getting into innovation, start getting into collaboration, start moving into those areas as well. So there's a lot of science to why purpose is super important and why we need to think about it and why we need to really take time to know what our own purpose is and what that can mean to our lives and our world. So using Ikigai to find your purpose. I'm going to pause. Does anyone know or has heard of or experienced Ikigai? And if they have, would they like to share what they understand of it?
Can we ask a question or do we hold questions to the end?
You can ask a question.
How does passion tie into purpose?
Passion does tie into purpose. It's a really great one. And actually the Ikigai is going to help connect to that.
Sorry.
No, totally fine. Great segue. Thank you. Ikigai. Has anyone heard of this? Anyone like to share what they know? Oh.
No.
No, you'd like to go?
Yeah, so engage in small, passionate things. So I love gardening, I love work on the plants, and I do every day something related to the plants, maybe watering the plants, pruning the leaves, and just feel good about it.
Okay. Yep. So connecting to something you enjoy, something you love. Great. It's a great example. Anyone else got a perspective?
I used to learn Japanese.
Yes.
And Ikigai, I used to use this word, but never touched in this meaning. The pure meaning for Ikigai, my understanding was that to really, it's the meaning of the life, it's the meaning of your life. But I think in here, it feels more touching to your mission and your purpose. That's my understanding. It feels like the life mission.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Exactly. Ikigai. Iki standing for life, for to be alive, and gai to have benefit. So life benefit. In summary, it's about finding joy in your life. And you're right, it comes from very ancient Japanese philosophy many, many years ago, where in South Okinawa in Japan, they actually found that the average age of people living in the area were over 100 years old. People were like, how is this happening? And it became known as the second longevity place to live in the world. And so, of course, what do? When we're interested in that, we go and explore and understand the science of it. And what was discovered was the Ikigai way of living and the purpose behind that. And so, of course, what has happened is we've now westernized Ikigai to go, well, how do we actually make that look and feel in our world? And how do we make that look up? So this is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. and starting to get you to work on your own Ikigai as we go through. So yes, concept for reason of being. Everyone has an Ikigai. It's always evolving, it's a journey, and it's about actually living in the moment. So when you have an Ikigai, it's not about where you're trying to get to in 6 months. It absolutely helps drive towards that, but it's how are you waking up today? What gets you out of bed and what's that meaning for you? It's really important coming through. And there's some great books out there if you really want to explore some more about that. Awakening Your Ikigai by Ken Mogi talks about that. He brings that joy of living, the joy of life. And then, of course, there's the Japanese secret to a long and happy life by Garcia Mills. So if you're very interested in researching some more, these are great resources to do so. So, as we've done, what we do when we look at Ikigai, Ikigai is in the center of what we're taking as a Venn diagram. So I'm going to walk you through this, and then we're going to start to explore what that looks like for ourselves. Ikigai is in essence replacing the word purpose. That's in the middle of that coming through. We then have 4 spheres that play the centerpiece of how your Ikigai and your modeling is done. Your first one is what you love. Now, this is generally what you just enjoy doing. It could be for our lovely friend Ali, she enjoys going to wineries and enjoying beautifully made wines. And if you ever want to know about wines in the region, she's your gal. She knows it all. It could be dancing. It could be reading historic novels. It could be playing a particular sport. Generally anything that drives you and that you love. You just love to do in your own time. It could be gardening, which was an example shared before, coming through on that. We then look at what are you good at. Now, these can be skills that you develop, that you might have learnt. It could be learnt skills that come through, or they could be something that you're naturally skilled at. I would say I'm a natural networker. I can pretty much talk to anybody. I feel quite happy to. Any age. I'd like to think I can do any culture. I still haven't found one that I haven't been able to yet. But what are you good at? How do you think about that? And people do connect that a lot to some of their skills that they've got, that they've mastered over years, or perhaps they're looking to master into a skill. Then we look at what the world needs. And then when you look at your Ikigai, this could be as small as just in your world, so in your community. It might even be in your family. Like, what does the world need that's looking at that? Right into bigger thinking around world, big world objectives or goals or challenges and problems that we want to solve. The rule here, and what's really important to think about, is to not go too big and too bold with this when you're doing your Ikigai, because then that just becomes a little bit more difficult to connect through. But it's about what the world needs. And then we look at, well, what can you be paid for? So when you think about maybe what you love, maybe what some of your skills are, maybe what the world needs, how can that open up into what you can get paid for doing that? A lot of the time, a lot of people who have Ikigai doesn't necessarily reflect or correspond to being paid for it. That's okay. It's not about making sure it all fits together. It's just about understanding how do you bring meaning to your life and meaning to your purpose. So when we look at the combinations coming throughout, when you look at what you love and what you're good at, that normally drives out your passion. When you look at what you love and what the world needs, that's your mission. We look at what you are good at and what you can be paid for, profession, connecting to your professional world, your careers. And when you're looking at what the world needs and what you can be paid for, that is your vocation. I'll be giving you a copy of this diagram, by the way. You can take photos for sure, but I'll also have a hand up for you as well. There is a sweet spot where some individuals can be very fortunate and they can go, I love doing this. I'm also really good at it. I know I can help the world with that. And guess what? I can get paid for it as well. That's a sweet spot of Ikigai. And there's some really interesting examples out there for that. but it's around how do you start to build and think that through. And then when we go a little bit deeper, we then start to cross over the spheres to go, well, how does that connect to your calling, your career, your potential, and your cause? And when we look at your calling, you're now looking at what do you love? What are you good at? What the world needs is your calling. So when you're looking at your career, the intersections that come through, so what you love, what you're good at, and what you can be paid for is your career. And then what you're good at, what the world needs, and what can be paid for is your cause. And what you love, what the world needs, and what to be paid for is your potential. So what you're starting to do is build a foundation of purpose, and then you're connecting it across intersections to continue to build purposefulness and fulfillment into your world. All right. Ali, can you help me hand these out? We're going to do some interactive time. I kind of give you a bit of a snapshot, giving you a bit of a call out. Ali's going to help me roam the room. If you've got any particular questions or you want to just bounce something off, please do that. You have 10 minutes. 10 minutes, you've got a handout that's coming out to you now. And you'll have reflection time to work through the questions in the handout. Now, I would be encouraging you, can I just use your example here? So you'll see you've got the Ikigai model on the front. And you'll be looking at this first page, which is going to cover what do I love? What am I good at? What does the world need? And what can I be paid for? There's some sub-questions in there. So I want you to ask yourself these questions. And I want you to fill in this as you wish. This is your document. You're going to start this. This is part of your reflection. You can make it bullet points. If you're a visual person, do pictures, whatever works for you. This is your Ikigai. So with 10 minutes, Ali and I will be roaming. Has anyone not got a handout yet? Go. Sure. Anyone else at the back? Ooh. I'll help speed up. Thank you.
Any spares, so just one each.
Has everyone just got one?
No, just two more down here.
Oh, and I got more here. Oh, I definitely got enough. This is interesting.
Yeah, no. Who hasn't got one? Okay, over here.
There you go. 10 minutes. This is all reflection. This can be quite personal, so feel free to think as deep as you want to and to be as vulnerable as you want to. I will not be asking anybody to share who's not comfortable to. So I just want to make that really clear. This is a safe space for all of us. I want you to use this time for yourself.
1, 2. Okay, cool.
Thank you. If anyone has any specific questions, please feel free to raise your hand.
Are these personal, what I love, professional, or what are we?
Whatever you want. Yeah.
Somebody not got one, I've got one
So
left.
what do you love? Answer
Yeah.
these questions, start writing some notes, and then go through each. And it's important to go from 1, 2, 3, 4. People are trying to fit in, oh, let's go 4 first. It feels easy.
You need to stand up for the question.
So what does the world need around a gap analysis in some sense? Around
What you believe, what are you connected to? What gets you passionate about? There's little signals in your world. Either you're reading up about it, you're keeping an eye on it. I mean, it gives me joy when we give time to ourselves. I don't think we do this enough.
All the questions or just the first?
You can keep going if you want to. Yep, on this page. Okay, a couple more minutes on self-reflection. Okay. Now, finding your Ikigai is not going to be solved in 10 minutes. Wouldn't it be great if life was that easy? But what it should be starting to do is allow you to dig deeper and start reflecting about truly what gets you up in the morning. Or if you were to focus on it more, what would get you up in the morning more? What would give you the joy that you need to? And when we do this, sometimes it's really nice when you're going through self-discovery that we also support each other when we're going through that and hear what other people are doing. So for the people in the room here, I'd like you to work in pairs. So hopefully someone next to you or very close by. Just want to make sure we keep relatively COVID safe. And please share what you're comfortable to share with the person next to you. If there's some things you'd rather not, you use your discrepancy with that. But of course, we're all part of a lead community. We all create very safe environments for ourselves. We're lifelong learners. So I would encourage that we use this time as best as we can. On the back page, you will see some coaching questions. So if you're like, okay, how do I help the person next to me? There's a few questions there that you can kind of help them discover. We've got less than 15 minutes. What I'd like you to do is have 5 minutes per person. So one person share what they'd like to share about what you found across what you love, what you enjoy, what you think the world needs, and what that is, and help each other on what that is, and then exchange and give some peer coaching to each other. Again, Ali and I are here. If you need some questions answered or some support, raise your hand and we can come over. Please go, please start. Yeah. It makes a big difference. If you haven't swapped over, swap over. Halfway, so if you haven't swapped over, swap over. Halfway, so if you haven't swapped over, please do. Okay, 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, 10 seconds. All right, everyone. Hello. I love it. We're passionate. Right, everyone. Back on me, back on me. Thank you. My fear of not getting enough attention. Back on me. What did you guys notice? How much noise was going on in here? It was a beautiful sight from this end of the room. Ali and I were just seeing, like, energy levels were up. Like the tone were different. People's body language was different. We could see people leaning in, smiling, joy in their eyes. Did anyone notice that when you were talking to your peer? What a beautiful way to connect with each other, right? Networking at its best. I want to ask for one brave volunteer who can just share some reflections. I've got a couple of questions for them. Does anyone feel brave enough to? Great. Can I please ask you, what are some of the insights from this activity have you gained? What have you started to identify?
Well, a couple of things, because this conversation has been working between Jason and I today. So the first insight is inspiring people is within this community. It's the first thing you notice. You mentioned the noise and the activity. It was a beautiful thing because we know in COVID now they're really that was inspiring to see.
Yeah.
The second is that everybody was had a piece of humanity that was in there, at least in our group, a piece of humanity that they were trying to connect to.
Fantastic. Great insight. And when you're looking at the Ikigai framework, is this the first time you've seen Ikigai in action? Okay. Initial feelings, when you think about it in regards to looking at your sense of purpose, how are you feeling about it?
It was a bit intimidating.
Yeah.
It's a little bit overwhelming to see there's so many things, and it's a little bit frightening in the sense you have to be pretty vulnerable to do it right. Mm-hmm. But we promised that we wouldn't do anything on Instagram or.
Thank you.
So, yeah,
thank you. Okay. Chatham House rules. Don't share. Don't share. Really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. Do you guys want to give them a round of applause? That's sharing. Thank you so much. Really important, right? As I've mentioned, and I'm going to keep mentioning it, we're not going to solve your own Ikigai in 1 hour, although I'd love that to happen. This is going to keep evolving and it keeps changing, right? So this is something that you want to keep doing as an exercise for yourself. When I was doing my Ikigai, for example, it took between 4 to 6 months. And I kind of went back to it. I kind of built on it and then I went back to it and I kind of made moments for myself, like once every couple of weeks. I had a journal, kind of went back into it, just spent half an hour just reflecting a little bit more on that. And just even making it more prominent in your mindset and at the forefront of your mindset, even just starts to naturally feed back into your purpose. You might have a moment in your day where you go, oh, I got really energized by that. Why did I? And then connect that back to the Ikigai framework and start to build on it. So I really want to encourage that piece coming through. Is there a question?
Yes. My question was around, it seems to me, again, I'm very new to the concept of Ikigai, but going through it, it seems like this is something that will probably always be evolving. Because,
absolutely.
Because life changes, a lot of different things get thrown at you. What you think today may not be relevant 6 months or a year down the road. 100%. So when you reach, or when you think you have reached your Ikigai, have you really reached?
Wow. I tell you what, I didn't plant him. He's actually done a beautiful segue for me. Thank you so much. So what happens when you start to build your Ikigai is we're going at a foundational level today. This is just starting at basics, yourself, self-reflection, and then you're going to continuously, it's a journey. Okay, this is a journey for your life. You continue to do this, you continue to build it through. When you get to a place where you're going, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good about this. How do I take this to the next level? How do I really push my Ikigai to the next level? Normally that can be when you're in a particular position in your career or your life. Maybe you don't have the kind of core foundations that you want to make sure you're bringing money in to support family or hobbies or things coming through. It just might be a moment in your life where you say, actually, I'm ready for something bigger. There is a way that you build Ikigai to be more high impact. And the way that you do that is to follow this pathway. You start by figuring out what the world needs. What is the big issue, big challenge out in the world? We've got many, don't we know it? We've got a lot. What's connecting to you? What are you really passionate about? You then take that and you figure out what you're good at or what you can be good at that fits with what the world needs. So actually, is this something where perhaps your career can have a transfer? Like you can transfer some of your skills to this other area. Can you have the capability to start reskilling or upskilling yourself? Like how do you think about that in that perspective? You then take that up to your third point. Look for ways to unify what you love with your skills that will improve the world. Then you start to build the connections. You get the intersections coming through and you're trying to build unification across it. And then your fourth step is, with rare and the valuable skills that are needed, money will follow. Now, there's many examples of this when we look at non-for-profit organizations, when we look at people who are doing humanitarian efforts that are coming through. They most likely have got their Ikigai. And they're figuring out how they're actually combining all of this by starting at where the world needs. So my advice is, take this with you, continue to work on your Ikigai through the modeling structure, through the template, keep building on that. And you'll know when the time is right, you go, I want to kick this up a gear. I want to move this to the next level. Then this is how you can do that through the impact of Ikigai. Mindful of time, so I do want to keep us moving. What I want to do is try and connect our Ikigai to cultivating our purpose at work. And I talked about this at the start. We're all executives. We're here on an executive event, part of our Me2We community, part of our lead community. Let's think about, first and foremost, how can we connect our Ikigai to our current roles, our current jobs? Let's start to build that. This comes up a lot for Ali and I when we're coaching in the courses that we're doing. There's a lot of complementary conversations coming through here. So how do we start to think about that? And what we look at is a term called job crafting. Has anyone heard that term before? Have they read about it before? Job crafting is when we shape the way we do our work in a way that makes our job more engaging and meaningful. So it's when we shape the way we do our work in a way that makes our job more meaningful. Now, there's a fantastic article from Harvard Business Review that talks about job crafting. And they put some great examples here. And I just want to read one example to you just to help bring this to life. Jake, a long-time employee at Burt's Bees, is a manufacturer of sustainable and natural personal care products. Jake is a compound mixer whose work involves following strict guidelines for how to mix bulk ingredients that are part of product recipes before they are packaged. His job requires little, if any, personal interaction with others and limited autonomy on how to alter the physical tasks involved in his job. Jake would describe himself as a people person, yet his work, as designed, provides little opportunity for personal connection. So he decided to change that. Jake was fascinated by the technicians in his plant who designed and built the specialized equipment needed for production. He initiated numerous conversations with the equipment engineers and attended their meetings to learn more about their approach and knowledge. He wove that information into more effective procedures for onboarding new team and is now fully in charge of that process. Jake's deep interest in the plant sustainability efforts led him to join the Eco Bees, a group dedicated to reducing waste and coordinating actions to make the plant more environmentally friendly. His involvement in this group, his connections with the equipment engineers, and his onboarding responsibilities have changed the relationship landscape of his job, while giving him tasks and activities he deeply enjoys. That's job crafting. I thought that was a really beautiful example, because it's taking someone and it's looking at what his responsibilities are, and then it's him going, well, what's really important to me? What gets me up? What gets me energized? People. I don't do that in my job. So how can I start to craft that in what my day-to-day job looks like? How can I start to open up those opportunities? And I wanted to give that example because we have limited time today. I wanted to help you think, okay, that's the example. How can I now start to think about that in my role? Or maybe the next role you're looking at, or how you're thinking about your career moving forward. So connecting that to your Ikigai will absolutely get you the level of satisfaction that you're looking for. Looking at my time, 5 minutes. Okay. I don't know if anyone has got an example of this, or maybe someone has already recrafted their job. They've gone, yeah, actually, you have? Great. Are you happy to share?
Sure.
Yeah.
I crafted my job growing into my role as Chief of Operations at the agency that I work at. Basically, the company's been around for 20 years and had never had a Chief of Operations. And I carved out that role, and they were the ones that positioned it as that title, but essentially I carved out all of the responsibilities, and it just happened to fit into exactly being that. And then I also come from a nonprofit background. So after that, I wanted us to do something that was more philanthropic, and created a partnership with a nonprofit so that we now do mentorship. We give a lot of money. We do like national judging for panels and things like that for this organization that mentors young people, high school kids on entrepreneurship. So. Fantastic. Did you find this exercise interesting? Have you been connecting to it, or have you found new things? I didn't know that was, I had never put it into those terms before, so okay. It happened a little more naturally. Yeah. Great, excellent. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. It's a really great example. All right, so to wrap up, to close off our power hour, I'm going to call it. I'm going to steal Professor Pfeffer's power hour. Ways to find more purpose at work each day. Take these tips. Take a photo of this if you need to. Please do. Use your strengths to help your organization. Now, we think about this naturally all the time. We might not necessarily lean into it all the time, but this is around, well, what are your strengths that can help solve some of the big issues and big problems in your organization? How can you start to do that and connect that to your Ikigai? The more purpose you get on that, the more productive you get, the higher performance you achieve, and you will be quite surprised how much self-satisfaction you have, but of course, where your career starts to move from there. Craft your job to make it more meaningful. You might be in a role that you're not completely happy with at the moment, or you're like, I need to get out, but I'm not quite sure what I want to do next. Use this current time and your current role to go, well, what could I do? How could I craft this current role to start to lean more into my Ikigai, into my purpose, into my meaning? What's important to you? How do you incorporate that into your day? Be of service to others. This is a great one. And I'm sure a lot of you do this already. This is around maybe being a mentor for a colleague in the lead community, a peer in the lead community. Maybe it's being a mentor or a coach internally with someone in your team. Maybe it's helping to support team in identifying solutions to problems. Think about how you can be of service and look for ways to feel uplifted and how you want to continue to do that. The whole future lies in uncertainty. Don't we know it? Live immediately. Thank you all for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed that. And any questions, come and see me. I'm a minute before past. That's pretty good. Hey, I want to get a selfie with you guys. Can I do that? Are you all right if I do that? I think my arms are long, but I don't think they're long to get all of you in, but I'm going to try my best. I'm going to try and do like one this angle, one that angle. Is that okay? All right, I'm going to do that. And for those who joined us virtually, really thank you for attending. We had people joining us and completing their Ikigai. So I hope that they really enjoyed that as well. All right, I'm going to go this way first. Please do something active with your body because you look really small. Ready? Great. I'm coming over here. And I'm coming over here. Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Great to see you.